like you think it's on silent, and then all of a sudden there's a child alert.
It's
from
like chirping
Miami.
or doing something weird.
Yeah.
A child alert from Miami. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. Today we've got none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Yak Motley. Y'all, I don't think everybody understands the impact Yak Motley had on my YouTube life career when I first moved to Pensacola. Like, you were my hang on. I'm sorry. I forgot. I always forget the most important part. We have to have the we got to do the intro music. Yeah, you got to have intro music. Hang on. Why is your microphone not working?
I feel like I'm not working right now.
There you go. Now it's working. Your cable was loose, I think.
You feel like when I was a lieutenant and they would turn the radio off on me.
Just turn the radio off. Ladies and gentlemen, Yak Motley. We got all kinds of things to talk about with Jack. For those of you who don't know, a lot of people think his real name is Yak Motley. It is not. It is Jack Motley. Jack's born and raised here in the Pensacola area and runs a incredible YouTube channel here in the Panhandle. And we're going to talk about all kinds of influences that I know for a fact that you've had. But the first thing Jack asked me when we sat down, he's like, "So what are we going to talk about?" And I'm like, "We're going to talk about whatever like it takes us. Wherever we go, that's what we're going to talk about."
Can we go to the tunnels of Pensacola? Because that's like a really big issue right now.
I know you. I saw your.
I went down that rabbit hole.
I know. I saw your post the other day. I mean, and it is interesting, and it would be absurd to think that that's not a real possibility.
Yeah.
Because I mean, as old as Pensacola is, I mean, there's no way that there's not stuff here that people don't know about.
Yeah, it was mind-bending when, not to make this about the tunnels of Pensacola, but it was mind-bending when I saw some of the history we're not taught about Pensacola. It's pretty wild.
Well, yeah, and I mean, and I get it from a standpoint of, you know, you and I talked about it. We ran into each other on the night before Thanksgiving at one of our local grocery stores here, which is what happens most of the time. But we were talking about if everybody knew about it, and it's dangerous to get to, there would be lawsuits filed.
Oh,
like
yeah.
if WAR came out tomorrow and they're like, "Hey, there's tunnels under such and such," and then, you know, some 14, 15-year-old kid's like, "I'm going to go find these tunnels," and
I'm going to go hang off the ledge and get an Instagram
exactly.
selfie.
And then they go do it and they died. The parents are
Yeah.
going to sue WAR. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
Every
think about
time.
how many people have tried to take a picture on top of Fort Pickens on the cannon, and everybody gets in trouble for
And
it.
there's signs everywhere, like "Do not climb on the cannon," and still, it's.
I mean, there's signs in front of the graffiti bridge, "Don't hit it with a truck," and it happens every week.
well, the PYT just put out a video last week. They went down and painted graffiti bridge, and just last week alone, there was like 5 different trucks that hit graffiti.
I mean,
bridge.
it's just a sign saying low
There's
bridge.
there's multiple signs.
Yeah.
Like from the time you come out of the roundabout under the bridge, I'm not as familiar coming from the other way, like coming down from Cervantes, but coming from Gulf Beach or Scenic Highway there's like 10 signs in like a quarter-mile stretch saying if you're over 10 foot, if you're in anything other than a passenger car, you're going to destroy something.
Yeah.
I mean, people with campers, that's the big thing, is people going through there with campers because their campers are only like, they're right at that like 10 foot, but what they don't take into account is the air conditioner on top. That air conditioner is another
pod.
Yeah, that air conditioner is another 18 inches. So if you follow the graffiti bridge on Facebook, a lot of times it'll come up and you'll see they'll have a picture of it. And there'll just be a big air conditioner unit like laying on the side. And I don't know if people don't know it's gone or what, but it's going to be a rude awakening when you get to wherever you're camping. If you're headed over to Fort Pickens or something and you got a giant hole in the top of your camper when you get there, that's not going to be your best day.
It's like, honey, we got a problem.
Yeah, I hope you're not going to get hot this week because we're not going to have any air conditioning.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a built-in shower if it rains. It's going to come right through the top of it.
We can just put a little like, scrape, what are those things where you strain, your noodles or whatever, put that on top and you have a shower.
Yeah, you could definitely do that for sure. So to answer your question, what you asked earlier on the podcast, we actually talk about everything, but we don't talk a lot about what we do on camera. What we like to give the folks is stuff behind the scenes that they don't get. With you is not a lot. I will tell you guys, Jack puts pretty much everything out there. I mean, you're pretty much an open book. And Jack was a huge inspiration for Sarah and I when we first moved to Pensacola to start doing vlogs and travel vlogs and stuff like that, which is something you've had a ton of success with here in this area. Obviously, we'll talk about WD-40 for any of you that knows Jack. Everybody knows, oh, that's the WD-40 guy. Have you ever actually got called that in public?
Yeah. So there was a guy the other day selling headlight cleaner on the side of the road, and I drove by. He's like, "Hey, I saw the video.
Hey, will you make one of those videos with my headlight cleaner?"
Yeah.
And I mean, WD-40's never contacted you, right?
Never. I even tried to contact them, and it was like silence. And like that company is not very easily to contact on social media. I don't know if they just don't do it. There's different like Twitter accounts all over the place for WD-40, but it kind of blows my mind that they didn't, because those type of videos are all over the internet.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
They never once reached out to a creator and said, hey, I'll give you 1,000 cans of WD-40. Go do something creative.
Yep.
You know, and it would have cost them nothing, and
Right.
the amount of brand recognition would have been out there. And now there's other products coming out there that are just as good as WD-40.
So it's time to make a new headlight video and
Yeah.
contact them first. I'm sure. I'm
Yeah.
surprised one of them haven't, because I mean, if I come out with something today that is like WD-40, I'm contacting you and I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
I bet you this will clean your headlights better than WD-40.
Yeah.
Also, this is the other 8,000 uses that you can
Yeah.
do with it. I'm going to send you a case of it. We put in a video.
Yeah.
It really is amazing to me how these companies are not recognizing influencers. Some of them get it. There's definitely, I mean, electric e-bike's a prime example. Like they get it. But it's amazing to me that there's so many of these companies out there who just don't understand the power of influence on social
Well, here's
media.
what's going to happen. I was thinking about this yesterday, that for a long time, people didn't understand creators in the YouTube space, and they were trying to, I'll give you a product, make a video. Now, creators are exponentially more expensive.
Yep.
And they realize that they have a hedge in the market now that TV can't get you.
Yep.
And that they have more sway over their following, and they have a creative ability to them that $200 product placement is now $2,000 or $5,000,
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
much higher,
And like for me to turn my camera on and even talk about a product, you know, you're going to reward me for my time.
Sure.
Because there's a million other products or a million other things I could be doing.
Yeah.
And so if you want creators, not to sound, this is the business aspect
Sure.
of this. If you want me to spend 4 or 5 hours of editing and whiteboarding to create a narrative or a topic, but you want to give me $200, it's not happening. So this is across the board with most creators. The bigger they get, they know their time is valuable, their ad space is valuable. And, just like on TV, when you see that 30-second ad, I mean, somebody's paying thousands of dollars for that.
Yep.
And on TV, they're getting half as many views. That's why a Mr. Beast is worth $1 billion.
Well, and it's not even, you say they're getting half as many views, and they're not controlling the audience that they're getting those views in. That's one of the biggest things with an influencer is it is probably the most directive marketing that you can do as a company as far as having a target audience. Like if you're trying to, sell makeup, and this is not just in the outdoor world, this is everywhere. If you're trying to sell makeup and you're new and you've got a product that is just as good as these big box stores or whatever it is, the quicker you can get that in an influencer's hand, the quicker you're going to be successful, because that influencer has already got an audience built that specifically watches them because of makeup or specifically watches them because of fishing. And you're not going to get that. If you go put, Sarah and I love to watch the CSI shows. If you go put an ad on TV tomorrow and you pay thousands upon thousands of dollars to put it on, that CSI time slot, there's no telling who you're going to reach, because that's a ton of different people. I mean, you could have anywhere from, 20 to 85 and have nothing to do with what you're trying to sell.
Yeah.
Where when you go to an influencer, they have a very specific audience that you're trying to reach out to.
Yeah.
And I brought up electric e-bikes a little bit earlier, and we're all partnered with them, me, you, Brant, and Brad. They get it. Like they understand, like Jack gets on his bike and he rides around Pensacola. So what they want to do is they want to put a bike in Jack's hands and say, hey, you don't have to say anything, but just hop on this bike and ride this one instead. Here's your e-bike. They get it, because now, and I always say part of partnerships are the mystery of it. If you don't say anything, people want to know.
Yeah.
If you just hop on an e-bike and it's new and they're like, oh, where do you get that? What is it? And you'll see them. You'll see it in the comments. Where'd you get that? What is that? What are you riding right? My one wheel is a prime example. Yeah. Yeah. And my one wheel's prime example. People like go nuts over the one wheel. Like, Well, especially if I don't show it. Like if I'm just like cruising along and it's just me, I get all these comments like, there's no way you were walking that fast and that smooth. And I'm like, no, I was riding my one wheel.
Well, yeah, and I've always been, and you know, even now, I'm much more selective about products because they live on your channel in that video for a long time.
Forever, especially you.
Know? Yeah.
Jack is the king of old videos constantly getting views. I mean, you were like, of anybody I work with or know, you've got more like evergreen videos than anybody else I've ever worked with or seen. And if you don't know what evergreen videos, we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, I mean, once you put it on there, it's there forever.
Yeah.
It's not, unless you take the video down, it's not going anywhere.
So like if a product goes bad in that amount of time, you know, like I had a fishing line company message, you know, send me product a long time ago. And then they send me some reels. And then they got me to do some videos, and then all of a sudden they had recalled all those reels, and there I had spent all that time and everything making these videos, and now your audience is getting a defaulty product. I got so mad at that company, and I said, you know what? I am going to be very selective on what I do, and you know, I almost went the route of I don't want any brand deals. I don't want any sponsors because, well, you make ad revenue. So whether you talk good about it or bad about it is really irrelevant, you know? And, you know, some of these companies will send stuff to you and be like, hey, make a video, I'll send you a product. No, you can send me the product. And if I like it, I'll make a video.
And that's exactly what I've switched to, exactly what you just said.
Because we have a, you know, responsibility to our audience to not peddle bad stuff. I mean, look at a lot of the crypto YouTubers now. They got caught in that FTX scandal where they pushed FTX exchanges, and then all of a sudden the exchange went bust and everybody lost all of their money, and now they're all, you know, in it. You know, they look really bad right now.
And you know, and this is something I think people just don't understand is the responsibility you carry as an influencer. Yeah. Whether you're our size or Jack size or, you know, you're a professional athlete size, you are responsible for what you push. You have to keep in mind. I mean, we went through a spell back when the pandemic was going on where everybody wanted us to pick a side. It was like, you know, pick a side. Tell me I should get vaccinated or tell me I shouldn't get vaccinated. I'm not trying to get political. But we never did. And the reason why is I'm not a scientist. Yeah. Like, to me, that's, and I'm not saying yes or no now. I'm just saying sometimes as an influencer, the best thing you can do is keep your mouth shut. Yeah. Because if you're talking, like FTX is a prime example, you're pushing something to these people and they're like, oh, well, Jack said this is a great idea, so I'm going to go buy it. And then all of a sudden the bottom falls out and, you know, everything. And then you've lost a lot of credibility at that point. Like you said, a lot of these YouTubers did. Because they pushed something that the bottom just absolutely fell out of. And it's just like, sometimes, you know, you have to take it for what it is. We don't influence people's decisions on things because we don't have enough, you know, information on our end to push it or not push it one way or the other.
Yeah, and things change so fast now. One day it's this, next day it's that. One day it's this, next day it's that. And, you know, a product can have a good name and then they can make one stupid tweet and then they got a bad name, you know, like... You know, when somebody hates you for your Carhartt hat or for your Patagonia.
Well, I mean, look at Yeti. Yeti went through that whole spell, what was it, 4 or 5 years ago, something like that, where everybody was boycotting Yeti. I can't remember exactly what happened. There was something going on that everybody was boycotting. I mean, people were, like, burning Yeti coolers and, like, drilling holes in them and sinking them in the water. Like, you know, and then the next week they went back out and spent, you know, $400 on a new Yeti because everything blew over and it was fine. So it's crazy the way that whole like sequence of events can play out as far as, you know, what you push. And we're in the same boat. I mean, we've all been talking about this, you know, in our circle, and I mean, you included. It's the problem with brand deals anymore is used to when you signed a brand deal, it was about that brand helping build your brand and your brand helping build that brand. A value for value transaction. Yeah. And it's not become that anymore. And now, it's not in all situations. I mean, there are some out there that absolutely make sense. I'm not saying that. But, you know, it's just now it has become so much of a what have you done for me lately kind of deal. Yeah. You know, from the brand deals for sure.
So, from the company to you?
Yeah. Like it's literally like they want more and more and more, but they don't want to give anything more than what
Yeah,
they're
and
giving.
it's a very lopsided conversation.
You guys stop playing with that wire. You're twisting it down there, and that's what's giving you that crackle.
Well, I feel like it's not pointed at my face.
Well, I told you.
I'm not used to mics in my face.
I know Jack does everything.
Mine's
rough
usually
style.
on the camera.
That's what I was gonna say. Jack does everything either rough style with his phone
Yeah.
or up on the camera, but this gives that nice crispy audio that everybody likes so well.
Yeah, the deep reverb.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
But what was I talking about?
We were talking about brand deals and just
it's lopsided conversation because these companies think they're giving you something.
Yeah.
They're not. You're giving them more than they're giving you.
Yes.
And so like there's this full circle you get as a creator. When you're first starting, you're so excited that this company recognized you and you're going to be this, spokesperson for them. And then when you figure out the return of what you're giving versus what they're getting is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
When you think about how much, like the bigger you get on YouTube or in social media, you realize the return or the ad spend, right? If you look at a billboard out here, somebody's paying $1,000 or $2,000 a month for that billboard, and let's say 20,000 people see it, and if you think about how much a 30-second clip costs on television for 1 million views, right? Yeah. And then you get a product that they give you for free, and you do a video on it, and all of a sudden, you think you got this cool new kayak. Well, they just got $10,000 worth of free advertisement that lives forever. And I really started getting mad about it because I saw a lot of in the kayak world, people would do these deals with Hobie or Ocean Kayak and all these things. And they're like, oh, I bought the kayak. They gave me it at wholesale. I still bought the kayak and I made 500 videos in that kayak.
Yeah.
They came out way ahead. Okay. They didn't give you anything. You bought it.
They did not.
And when I saw that all those videos lived in eternity, but then if you look at ESPN, if there's a product they don't like, they blur it out, right? Like if Yamaha or Quantum or wherever does not pay for that ad space. I mean, look at the Discovery Channel. They'll blur those engines out in a heartbeat.
Yep, real fast.
Or Wicked Tuna.
And we could do that, but it would just be too time.
Oh, it'd be labor intensive.
Yeah, it would be labor intensive to do that.
They got so much branding out of YouTubers back in the day, and they wouldn't even talk to you. And I was like, there's 5 other kayaks out there that are equally as good.
Yep.
I really noticed it early on about how companies were doing this to you. They send you some fishing line and expect you to make 10 videos. I'm like, I made $500 in ad revenue on that video. I'll go buy my own fishing line.
Yeah. Now, not all of them are like that. I do want to say that. And I draw a distinct line in the sand between sponsorships and partnerships. Sponsorships is they're paying you, they're writing us a check. That's a sponsorship. A partnership is stuff. So, because I've got a couple companies that send, Frog Talks is a prime example. Frog Talk sends me stuff. They have no expectation. I don't have to get on there and say, this is a sponsor. They just want to put gear in my hand that people will see. They get it. It's stuff I need. It's stuff I use on a daily basis. So that is like the ultimate partnership because we put their stuff in front of people on a weekly basis. Their expectation is nothing. They're never calling me and saying, hey, notice, I sent you X and Z or whatever, and I noticed that we haven't had your code come through all week. That never ever happens. And so those, to me, it's fine. If you have something that you want or that you know you're going to use, and you can work out a deal with a company where it is no expectations whatsoever other than the fact that, use it in the videos, it's something you're going to be using anyways, then that makes sense to me.
For me, it's hats.
Yeah.
Right? I wear a hat every day because I like wearing hats. Whatever's on the front of it, as long as I kind of think it looks good with my outfit, I'll wear it. So if you sent me hats, that's one thing that your brand would probably be incorporated just because I wanted a hat. I need a hat that day.
Yeah.
And, or I love hoodies, right?
Yeah.
And Adore made these hoodies, and I just happen to wear them.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to get your whatever frog tog. Like you do a lot of fishing, you're wet all the time. Well, you need some bivvies. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
They're in the video. And I wish I wish companies would think more like that. Like electric bikes. I would have never got into electric bikes if they wouldn't have sent me an electric bike and they liked their product and they thought it would fit because I rode a bicycle everywhere anyways. And I wound up being like, hey, this is awesome. Let's make some videos about this.
Well, and that's another one I was going to mention. They're just like, we have a few. I mean, we have several different partners that we work with that, we think a lot of. But Lectric's awesome, too. They were the same thing. No holds barred. They didn't send us the bikes with the expectation that, we were going to say nice things about them. My conversation with Jordan, who was my contact, was, hey, we're going to send you these bikes. We hope you love them. We'd love to see them in your videos. If you do love it, let your audience know.
Yeah,
that was literally it. And then so it's not like I've got to go in and be like, this video is sponsored by so and so.
Yeah, and
so,
that doesn't really work on YouTube, anyways.
No, it does not.
Like for me, being in real estate, selling real estate. People come here looking for the beach life. They want to ride bicycles and drink margaritas. Well, I sold like 7 houses last year pulling up on my electric bike.
Yeah.
Because it fit the lifestyle, and Electric saw it, between the camper videos and real estate and beach life, that it fit my genre, and their brand got incorporated very well. And why some of the other bike manufacturers haven't done that's beyond me.
No, because it has absolutely blown Electric up.
Yeah.
Like 9 times out of 10, if you and I know you guys see marketing, we see real life scenarios like when we live in a tourist town like Pensacola. We did a video back, I don't know, about 4 or 5 months ago. Sarah and I went out and camped at Fort Pickens. I never saw another electric bike in the campground that was not electric. Not one. I'm not saying they're not out there. Don't get me wrong. I understand they're out there. But I bet we saw 10 different electric e-bikes that day. And it's not because of us. That's not what I'm saying. It's because they understood that sending those bikes out and putting them in front of eyeballs means everything. That you could have the greatest product in the world, absolutely the greatest product in the world, and if you can't get it in front of people's eyeballs, it's pointless.
Yeah.
It is 100% pointless because nobody's ever going to see it, so therefore nobody ever cares.
Well, it's crazy that Visit Pensacola and some of the local tourist people that run the departments around here don't even recognize us, and if you think about how many people we've brought to the Gulf Coast to go fishing or vacation here, and you've never once gotten recognition from them.
PYT is a prime example. She just started. Sarah's sitting back here behind the camera working on some wedding videos. She started her own channel. She was doing some vlog style stuff like you do, and first message I got was from Daniel Arms. He's like, I'm a little ticked off with Sarah right now. And I'm like, why? What happened? He's like, every one of our first videos were just absolute crap. Like everybody's. He's like, Sarah posts her first video and it looks like something from the Pensacola Tourism Commission that they put together. And, it's just a product of having the knowledge that we have now. But yeah, you never, and you would think they would recognize that. As I don't care how many magazines you're in or how many brochures you're in. There is nothing going to draw more people to Pensacola than a Yak Motley vlog or a coastal country vlog with what's there. I mean, that's what's going to draw people. I mean, that's how I found you. When we were looking at moving to the Gulf Coast, and if you type in Pensacola, Florida, and that's all you type in YouTube, Yak's going to be probably 5 or 6 of the first 10 videos. But it's because you did so many of the blog style stuff down here, like life in Pensacola, and it's just amazing that they don't contact you and be like, hey, if nothing else, just we want a recognizable face on our videos. Come, not necessarily make a video, come shoot a video with us so we can put your brand with our. Yeah. But nothing. You never hear that. And I don't know if they just don't think along those lines and I mean, maybe I always say it's tough when you are working with a saturated market because irregardless, people are going to come to Pensacola. You know what I mean? They're going to be here, whether they see your videos or whether they don't. We're going to have an influx of tourism. Now, a large number of those people may choose Pensacola over Destin or Gulf Shores or whatever because of your videos or because of fishing videos or something like that. So maybe that's where their thought process is at. They're like, we're not going to contact him because the people are going to show up no matter what. Doesn't matter if it's his people or other people's people.
Yeah.
They're going to be here.
Well, and two, like a lot of them don't want to say they need your platform. You know, they are very like, well, I'm visit blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, and I just feel like,
how many views did you get last month? Like, that's what you want to ask them.
Yeah.
Like, so how many views
and not to sound pompous on it. It's just to say, like, you know, just looking at the data, how they just think you're irrelevant. You know, it's like to this day, people still act like a YouTuber. Like, what is that? Like, how does that work? And it makes me so mad because when you look at a local television station versus the views that Brant's pulling in or y'all are pulling in or Brad or me or whatever, like it's not even comparable. And they will downplay you so bad in the local news and the local things that, and I get it. They want to make it sound like that because they all are charging way more for ad placement. You know, like I will go out just because I like a beer and make a vlog on a beer, right? Yeah. They want them to pay $5,000 or $6,000 to be on their little platform. And it's a very old school way of making content. I like to document things around me and try to make it as interesting as possible. That's why I like the vlog style because, you know, one thing I don't know if it's like for fishing content, it's really hard to make that consistently.
Yeah.
Like it's one of the hardest genres to make content because let's just do the math on this. You got maybe 100 days out of the year that are the weather is good enough to make a fishing video, okay? And then you have to go out there and perform, okay? And you have to have a topic that's interesting enough, a plot line, a beginning, middle, and end, a controversy overcome. You've got to go out there and perform. You got to spend time and money to do these things, you know, because every video has a budget. And, you know, it's very hard to make content consistently.
Yep.
You know, and I look at a lot of the fishing channels, and I run their numbers in my head. Like, okay, they use this much fuel. The boat notes this much. The truck notes this much. The baits this much. The time and travel and everything they're doing. That it's very hard. So with vlogging, it's like today I'm going to be doing this, so I might as well make a video of that.
Yeah.
And can I form it into something that's topical, titleable? Is that a word, titleable?
We can make it a word.
I can't say it.
Titleable.
Yeah. And will it fit into the search engine somewhere that it could be, you know, a good video? And that's like the idea of Evergreen. Like if I name something that's a topic, you know, a restaurant or something that gets a lot of search content, that video will live forever. Top 5 beers in Pensacola. That video will be searched for the entire time it's up. Yeah. You know, things to do in Pensacola. You know, and it's wild that, you know, and this is kind of what we're saying about brands. You can make a video of those top 5, and they could be your top 5 to go out of business. Yeah. Or you get a rogue owner one night when you're in there trying to make a cool little video of their building, and they kick you out. You know, like Pensacola Bay Brewery did that to me, and I got so mad at this guy. I was like, I made a top 5 video with your brewery in it, and you, I think it had like 50,000 views at the time and was like really doing well, and it was like one of the, I think I ranked it like 1 or 2, and we went for a trolley ride. You know, that Pensacola pedal trolley. Yeah. And it started off from there, and we were all coming off, and we were getting our stuff, and he came out screaming at me. I never told this story before. Came out screaming at me, and all the girls, Samantha, we had like 8 people there, and he was like, "Get off my property." He was mad about the coolers. Well, the stop to load and unload the trolley was in front of his brewery, and we were all fixing to go in there and buy beers because we loved the place.
Yeah.
So he stood out there screaming at all 8 of us, and we're not children, you know, we're all 35, 38 years old. We're all professionals in the area. We all loved his bar, and he kicked us all off the property.
So if you don't know what Jack's talking about, if you do not have a pedal trolley, so we have a little trolley that everybody gets on and rides around, but it's a bring your own beer deal. Yeah. So that's what he's talking about with the coolers. And I think if I'm saying this right, you guys were loading the trolley there in front
Yeah,
of
we
his
were
place, so you had
loading and
beers.
unloading the trolley. Yeah, he came out there showing his butt, and I was like, "Hey, sir, what's the issue? These are going to the car, and we're coming straight into your bar, and we're gonna have one of your beers. We come here all the time." And he just wouldn't have it, just lost it, and I never went back there ever again. It'll never go in one of my top 5 videos ever again.
No.
I would say he probably lost 200,000 or 300,000 future views of his brewery just by being rude to us. And it was a situation where
There was uncalled for.
he didn't know who we were.
Right.
He didn't know who we were. He just assumed, and it put a bad taste in my mouth, put a bad taste in all of the people, all 8 of us, that will never go back to this establishment again.
Yeah.
And those are like the heart-wrenching ones where you spend time talking about Pensacola, your love for something.
And it's something you actually enjoy.
Something you enjoy, and then something like that happens, and you don't want to do it anymore.
No, and you won't. Not with them.
But back to what I was saying about vlogging allows you to do a 360-degree share with everybody in Pensacola, your thoughts, things you love, places you need to try. And I enjoy that type of video making.
Yeah. And it's a guaranteed video. I think that's important to say is you're going to make a video when you go out to do a vlog. And that's the beauty of it. That's why I love podcasts. A lot of people have asked, why are you shifting over to partially podcasts? Because every Wednesday I'm guaranteed to have a video. When Jack walked in the door this morning, there's no variable elements. There's no weather. There's no, outside forces. We're going to make a video today. This is going to be a video. And when you're dealing with the outdoor world, you can't do that all the time. So you just have to find a happy mix. And I enjoy doing the podcast. I mean, I do. A lot of people have asked why we've switched over to doing, 1 or 2 of these a week. And it's like, I enjoy it. Like I enjoy sitting here talking to Yak Motley for, I tell people all the time, and I'm trying to stop saying that because I do know I say it all the time in the podcast. Sorry guys, but you don't know how cool it is for somebody like me to be able to sit here with somebody that I've looked up to for so long in the social media world. Jack and I have become friends. Actually, Sarah and I filmed Jack and Samantha's wedding. That was our first, professional, I guess, relationship at that time. And then we developed a friendship after that. But I'll never forget when so I won't make this too long because it's a whole deal. Jack and Samantha had to reschedule their wedding originally from May to September in 2020 because of the pandemic. Well, in 2020, we roll around to the week of September that Jack and Samantha was supposed to get married. And on Monday of that week, we got thrashed by Hurricane Sally. So I'm on the phone with Jack and I'm like, hey, what's the plan? What are we doing? Because we had no way to charge equipment. Luckily, we had everything semi-charged because there was no power anywhere. Craig ended up having power and I charged some stuff over at Craig's house. But Jack called me one day. He's like, hey, man, he's like, what are you doing right now? I was like, nothing really. I was like, Sarah's in Kentucky. I'm just cruising. He's like, come get me. So I rolled over to Jack's house and we jumped in the truck that day and we ran around and filmed all the barges that were laid up on land. So, and then after that, we really started filming a lot together.
And that's the perfect example of vlog. Yeah. There was no other video to make.
No.
Let's make this video of the hurricane, and that's what's awesome.
And what was so cool, and not that it's cool because, you never want to see a natural disaster, but we've talked about before, there's very, very little original content on YouTube. And when you have something like that, no one else has access. Or I shouldn't say no one else. Very few people have access to that. Nobody in New York or LA or Chicago or wherever, they're not able to do a vlog about Hurricane Sally because you can't really get in or out. So you have to, if you're here, you can make it. If you can make it, if you're not, there's not really a way to get in here to do anything. So I think we all had very, very unique. I know I will say my drone footage from that week has probably been used more than anything else I've ever shot in my entire life. I know you used it, Brant used it, I used it. There was random people that I had no idea who they were that just ripped it off the internet.
Well, when the lawsuit came in about Hurricane Sally, they were like, hey, do you have any footage of Hurricane Sally? I was like, go look at these 3 vlogs on my YouTube channel. It'll show you how wrecked Pensacola is.
It was not hard to figure out.
Well, do you have any footage of the barges sitting on downtown Pensacola? I'm like, yeah, well, go look at the video. In my video, there's 3 of them sitting right there. It
was everywhere.
But the cool thing about a podcast is you get to talk about the things that didn't go in the video, the behind the scenes. if I had a penny for every funny story behind the scenes of some of these videos, like,
Yeah.
I love watching Casey Neistat's, interviews from behind the scenes of his vlogs, or behind the scenes of, some of these big fishing YouTubers, or even some of these rock stars. Like, I just went through the Mike Tyson book, and it was the most interesting thing ever, to hear, like, when you met this guy or this guy. It's like, like for us, you meet Jimmy Houston, or you meet Daniel Arms, or you meet some of these really influential people. And you're like, oh, well, I got a story about that.
Yeah. It's funny because Daniel and I sat down here 2 or 3 weeks ago and we talked about you. And a lot of people don't realize, if you watch that podcast you do, Jack was a huge influence on Daniel Arms, from a standpoint of Daniel spent the first year or two of his content creation journey chasing your channel. And he's open about that. He found Jack through looking exactly what we were talking about. They were coming to Pensacola, and he was searching up stuff for Pensacola. Really fell in love with Jack's vlogs and what he did, and had a huge influence on Daniel. And you were always big about, and you still are, kind of, they call it throwing mud at the wall and seeing what sticks, and then continuing to throw that texture of mud ball until it falls off, and you've done a great job at that, throughout the time. So a couple things I want to talk about just completely off camera. And this got brought up in a podcast I did with Bama Beach Bum and Brad. And you grew up here. So I think you're the only one out of our whole group besides Brant. Brant grew up here. He grew up in Milton that grew up here. Why do you think, in your personal opinion, it's so acceptable to drink on the coast at any time of the day?
Because we're the drunkest city in the country.
It's not just here though, dude. Like if you hit a beach town, it's the only place in the world where it's acceptable to crack open a beer at 8 a.m. and nobody bats an eye.
Yeah. Because I think when you get here, you're on vacation, and we live the vacation life.
True.
One thing you'll notice about Pensacola, nobody gets in a hurry, ever.
No.
And it's just kind of a relaxed place. Like as a Pensacolian, that's the word. That's the way.
Dude, you can make up whatever words you want.
I make up a lot of words.
We're gonna do the Yak Motley dictionary.
Yeah. I round off a lot of words.
Titleable and Pensacolian. That's the two we're adding today. I like it.
Yeah. It's like if you said, "Let's go on vacation." ... The first thing that pops in my head is the sand's not going to be as pretty.
Right.
Okay. The water's going to be close to the same. Even if we're in the Caribbean. Like, if you look at Destin, 30A, Pensacola on a good day, it's not worth driving 500 miles for.
Nope. We got it right here.
Like I was at the aquarium in Atlanta the other day. It was last weekend. And they were like, the dolphin sanctuary. I'm like, there's 4 of those in my backyard, like, every day. And it's like, the shark sanctuary. I'm like, you can go to the Pensacola beach and see the big hammerhead or the
pier, especially
big tiger shark going by whenever.
Yeah.
Like that. Within 10 minutes, you can be on a vacation that rivals just about anything.
Yeah.
I mean, Fort Pickens National Park, number 3 in the state?
Yep.
If it's number 3 in the state, it's pretty much top 10 in the whole United States, And so it's like, I feel like it's acceptable. And then the local ordinances come in with stupid stuff like you can only drink on the sand or in this part of downtown.
I think a lot of that hinged from, so I don't know how many of you guys remember this, but I guess it was probably 8-9 years ago, Panama City really started cracking down on spring break alcohol, which it needed to be done down there. They were getting out. I mean, there was a young lady that got raped on Panama City Beach. People watched and offered no assistance. They needed to do something. I'm not knocking that, but it was like when Panama City started implementing all these ordinances for drinking, and then it was like everybody. It's like a panhandle curse almost. It's like if one beach does something, everybody else is going to follow suit.
Because what also happens too is they just migrate from Panama City to Pensacola.
Right, that's exactly
from Pensacola
right.
to Mobile, and I understand it's a hard legislative thing, but on your line of your question about being the drunkest city, it's actually, I think, the top 10.
Is it really? I didn't realize that. I just knew that that it's amazing because like I'm from Kentucky. If I get up in Shelbyville, Kentucky on Wednesday morning and I crack open a beer and I'm walking down the street with it and somebody sees me, I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Down here, if I crack open a Budweiser at 8 a.m. or whatever beer I'm drinking that day, nobody cares. They're like, they probably have one too. They're probably like, cheers, buddy.
And that's why I never understood the blue laws still exist about, couldn't get beer before 12 o'clock.
Is that still
on
a
Sunday.
thing?
I think they canceled it in Escambia County, but it's still in Santa Rosa County, maybe.
Yeah, so y'all
never understood
our
that
counties are so jacked up down here as far as like layout wise. So you have to drive through Gulf Breeze to get to Pensacola Beach. Mm-hmm. We're in Escambia County here where we live in Pensacola, but when you cross over into Gulf Breeze, you're in Santa Rosa County. But when you cross back into Pensacola Beach, you're back in Escambia County. So our lines are like really, it probably looks like a 5-year-old drew it with a crayon when you look at the layout of it. So we talked about when you first got here, little Jack just turned 1.
Yeah.
It's crazy how time goes with the little ones.
Yeah, and I started his channel to kind of vlog his Navy Point Jack. I started his channel to kind of vlog him growing up because I wanted to capture it all. But it's really hard to run 2 channels and be a dad and pick up and drop off daycare and, like spend time with him and everything. And that it's really hard to do all those.
Oh, yeah.
And like when I see like Casey Neistat back in the day doing a vlog every day and have 2 kids, people don't understand how hard that tempo is. It is mind-numbing to make a video a day every day. Like I did it once for a while, and there's a line where quality and quantity kind of meets, and you have to be very precise on your recording and your format, and bam, 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 bam. It's all going into a template, but it's really hard to run all that. And I'm finally getting back to the point where I can kind of jump back into it. The finance videos were easy to knock out because
you have to move.
I can sit down in front of a camera. I can talk about real estate or whatever and have a video for the day and not, like you said, like we talked about going fishing. Yeah. Takes 2 days of prep. It takes, what are we going to do and where we're going to go? And you go on for that whole day and a half.
Yeah.
And
well, and it's not even, aside from that, even on a vlog. Mm-hmm. So that's the difference. If you're shooting a finance video and you're sitting in front of your, in your office at your house, if you're shooting a 15-minute video, that video takes 15 minutes to shoot. Just like this, we're going to make an hour-long podcast today. It takes an hour to shoot it. But when you vlog, prime example is some of Sarah's recent videos. We did the 5 signature cocktails on Pensacola Beach. Well, that was only a 15-minute video, but it took us 4 hours because you have to drive from spot to spot. So, and that was well coordinated. Okay. We 100% had that completely laid out exactly how we were going to do it. We pretty much knew what she was going to say, where we were going to go and what we were going to film, but it still took 4.5 hours to make a 15-minute video. So you have to take that into account when you're shooting these. A 15-minute video does not take 15 minutes most of the time unless you're doing a talking head piece like what we're doing or the finance videos you were talking about. There's still, the travel time involved, the getting there, the getting set up, making sure that you're in a place where the music's not going to get you a copyright strike or whatever's going on that day. There's just more to it than, and then not to mention the editing time.
Yeah, I mean 4 hours minimum editing time on some good vlogs. Yeah. And it's like, can you get it to 2 hours? It's pretty tough. So you're looking at a full day to make a video, and not to mention the note taking of what your shot list is going to be.
Yeah, what all you have to have.
And me and Brant and Ron spend days, weeks coming up with ideas for YouTube videos because you can't just go out and make these things happen. Like it's like we throw titles against the wall all day, and then you see what sticks. And that's the only way I've ever been able to make content is I go from genre to genre, seeing what sticks, and you'll run off, a few 100,000 views, and then that genre is dead, and then you go to the next thing, and it's constantly coming up with new ideas.
Which, just so you know, is the square opposite of what the YouTube professionals tell you to do, which is what Daniel and I talked about you. And that's one of the things that makes your channel so unique is you have bucked every professional advice and the way you've ran your YouTube channels, and it's worked for you. I mean, I'm not saying it hasn't worked. 100% worked, but Jack's never been the one that's been like, okay, I'm a fishing channel, or I'm a vlog channel, or I'm a finance channel. You've had success in multiple genres by doing exactly what you said, bouncing around and throwing what sticks, and then, when it doesn't stick anymore, you go on and start doing something else.
Yeah, I just kind of said, what is it?
Playing with your wire. Okay. You have nervous hands.
Yeah.
Is that the military in you? Is that what's wrong? You just got to be doing something with your hands?
I'm a kind of a ADHD anyway.
Yeah, I'm never going to trust Jack with a grenade. He would pull the pin.
Yeah.
Like, he would flip with it until he pulled the pin.
Yeah.
For sure. Anyway, sorry.
What was that? I was trying to think of my train of thought. I just never wanted to make one type of content ever. Like, I got bored with it. Like, after a while, it becomes a job, whether you're fishing or traveling, whatever, because you're thinking in your head the whole time, your shot list, how are you going to make this look good? You're not really like in the moment with any of it. Like Brant, hit it the other day that cobia swims by and the camera can't get it. You can't throw that jig head, right? Yep. You've got to make sure it all works. And when you make 100 of something, you're like, I just don't want to make this kind of video anymore. I'm interested in this now. So I just would make videos on what I was interested in. It allowed me to go from thing to thing to thing to thing. And I was never afraid of, am I not going to make money with this, right? Like, I did it because I was interested in it and not, okay, I got to feed my family and I'm afraid to pivot, right?
Yeah.
I'm afraid of, oh, this might get 5,000 views. Because what I've seen over the years, because I've been doing this a long time, it might get 1,000 or 2,000 views today, and you wake up 6 months from now and it's at 1 million.
Yeah.
And so from being on the platform a long time, I said, you know what? I think this is a good idea. I know kind of how to make that video. I can title it, put a good thumbnail on it, and let it fly, right? And if it bombs, whatever, I'll make another one tomorrow. But if you look at the WD-40 video, it got maybe 1,000 views the first 2 or 3 days.
Really?
Maybe.
I did not realize it didn't take up.
I'll send you the data on it. Maybe 1,000 or 2,000 views. And I was sitting in Blab TV a few months later, and all of a sudden my studio app started going crazy. And I was like, and I screenshotted it and sent it to Brand. He was like, holy cow. It went from like 1,000 views to 45,000 views in like a couple of hours. It went from 45,000 views to about 1 million within, I don't know, a couple days.
Yeah.
And then it went from 1 million, I think now it's like 23 million. It just kept chugging. And I remember when it got to like 5 or 7 million views, I think I had gotten like 40,000 subscribers from it or something like that. And that was a video that I almost never made because I was afraid of what people on my channel might think, or if it didn't fit my content, it didn't fit the genre. But I saw the idea and I said, I picked up just my cell phone. I said, Samantha, I'm gonna make this video and I don't care what anybody has to say about it. Yeah. Kicked open the back door, made the video in probably 15 minutes, posted it, and it was a game-changing video. Yeah. And from that moment, nobody can ever tell me, hey, don't make this kind of content. If I think it'll work, I'm posting it. Yeah. Because tomorrow I'm going to post another and another and another and another and another. And if it bombs, whatever. But so many people are scared of that 1,000-view video.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm the world's worst. I mean, Sarah knows that. I've talked to you about this. Yeah. Jack has the theory of post and ghost. I just don't have the ability to do that. I wish I did. I 100% would love it if I could take a video, post it, and just walk away from it and never look at it again.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I just at this point I don't have it in me. I mean, I know it's a good idea. Thick skin. I know it's a good idea. Like I do. Yeah. I'm not disputing that it's what you should do. It's just, for me, it's super tough. I'm like, so many people have told me, you, Brant, Daniel, just put your head down, make videos, do it for a year, and then look up and see where you are.
Right.
And I mean, and that's worked for us. It has. I mean, we've had tremendous growth over the last 2 years. But it's tough for me to post and go. It's like I'm that first hour, like I'm refreshing every 30 seconds or something stupid, just watching the analytics on it.
Yeah. And sometimes the analytics in the first day don't even matter over the course of
and I'm
video's
learning
life.
that. I'm learning that more and more. I mean, I'll tell you a prime example was the Arms Family Homestead podcast that I did. I posted it and I was stressed because it was like the first 6 hours, it was garbage. Like I'm talking like less views than any other video I've ever gotten on anything I've ever posted. Even when I was at like, 5,000 subscribers or whatever it was. Woke up the next morning and this thing like blew up. Oh, I've never had a video do well overnight. They always seem to die off overnight just because of where our audience is at. And the next morning it exploded. And I was like, what in the world? How did this happen? And then in turn, because I did that in 2 parts, the second part came out the next day. Well, that video was so hot right then when I put out the part 2, it took off quick. It actually got up, as far as the 1 to 10 goes, it leapfrogged the first one, but it ended up not catching it because that first one just kept going and going and going. But yeah, and I know that, like, I understand like that it doesn't have to do well in the first hour, but it's just something about it. Like when you post a video and it rolls out 10 to 10 and
well, it's like too, people will try to come up to you and be like, oh, you got popular for fishing. Why aren't you doing that? And I'm like, actually, if you go look at my top 50 videos right now, it's not even one fishing video in it.
Yeah, my top videos is the Game Warden video and all my boat review videos.
But like, it's like you never know what's going to take off.
Right, you don't.
And I've been around the game a long time now, and I've kind of figured it. Hey, we both have these set of skills that know how to put out a pretty decent video. I know the title will probably work. I know it'll fit in this genre. I can put a good thumbnail on top of it, and then I go to the next video. And like, I feel like as a creator, you are the creator. You are putting out stuff that somebody probably doesn't understand or has never seen before. And everybody's like, oh, I want to satisfy my viewers. I think that's the opposite way of doing it. Like, I don't think you do that. You're the creator. You create, and you put it in front of them, and the market determines whether they like it or not, right?
And
like
some people will, and some people won't.
You're the artist, right? So sometimes you want to show people something they've never seen before.
Yeah.
So that means that you're taking a chance and you're putting it out there. It could be a product they've never seen before. It could be an experience they've never seen before, and that's why videos go viral. But you're going to listen to those first 15 people in the comment section talk about how stupid it is, and then you look up and it's at 3 or 4 million views, and you want to just like put their comment below like, hey, you didn't know as much as you thought you did.
Not know what you thought you
know. And it's but you don't. That's why I post in ghosts most of the time. I'll answer comments in the first 24 hours sometimes, but then I just let it go because no matter what you say to them, they're not going to understand.
Well, you're not going to change their mind.
And like, and that was one thing, like when I got into the real estate world was, to run a channel, you're always looking for a product that you can sell, right? And I found out that merch was really hard to do. And I didn't like the volume that you had to do with lures or small things.
Sure.
Me and Brant came up with, let's sell the biggest item you possibly can, and that is real estate, right? You're selling a lifestyle, sell them the real estate for it, Yep. And it allowed me to get out of the ad revenue game. And, as YouTubers, you're an entrepreneur. You have multiple businesses you build out on that run with these platforms.
Yeah.
And for me, building a real estate business on the side, both investing and sales, it allowed me to not worry about getting 1,000 views because I've gotten deals from videos that got 1,000 views, 2,000 views, 3,000 views, but it was a video I wanted to make and I thought it needed to be made, and I made the video and I didn't have to worry about it bombing,
right? Because
I wanted to make the video and it had to tell the story around something else or whatever. And Monica Church and Shelby Church, they do a good job of vlogging, being a YouTuber and a real estate agent, because one of the hardest part of being a real estate agent is marketing. Well, we were already really good at this, and me and Brant were already making these videos, and people were asking us, hey, do you have a real estate agent? I would like to buy a condo here or something, for when we come down here, twice a year and we want to Airbnb it out. Well, we were already there, so why didn't we build a business around that? And that's what we started to do. And so it allowed me to, hey, I want to make this video. I want to go, talk about the 5 best beers. it'll probably only get 5,000 views. I'm going to go make it anyways because I might get a client from it.
Yeah.
And then it gets 30,000 views, 50,000 views. And that mindset was kind of alleviated off of me. Like, I love like getting up in the morning, grab a cup of coffee. If there's something I want to talk about on a video, I can go do it and not have to worry about the ad revenue for the month. You know, a lot of people don't understand ad revenue, and I try to explain to them like this because I get asked like probably 3 times a day.
Or more.
Your YouTube channel, when you post a video, we'll put an ad break in it, right? YouTube makes the ad break. Whatever basket of ads they have to sell that month goes in there, and it is no different than you're watching TV and that commercial comes on. Somebody paid for that ad space, and there is an ad split with the creator, the television show, whether it's ESPN Outdoors or whatever, and you. And so, you know, it's the concept is just like television. So when I said I didn't like doing brand deals, you know, you're getting the money from the brand, you have to do what they tell you to do. Well, I could do what I wanted to do because I'm my own.
You're building your brand.
I'm building my own brand.
Yep.
You know, and I loved that concept much better. Make YouTube video, sell house. Make YouTube video, sell house. It wasn't make YouTube video, sell t-shirt, sell fishing lure, add affiliate link, respond to these emails over here to this brand guy. Well, why didn't you put this in the video? It's like, no, I'm going to wake up today. I'm going to go make a video on why the real estate market might collapse in 2023.
Yeah.
We're going to make that today. Let's roll with it. I just like doing that.
Well, and it gives you that, and we are that way to an extent. Like, we never really backed ourselves into a corner because we've done travel vlogs, we've done fishing videos, we've done, we do the podcast. Podcasts have done very well. So, and that was me. Like, I say this all the time. I'm not a very good fisherman. Like, really not. And it's fine. I love fishing. I really enjoy it. I've definitely gotten better at it, over the course of the last 2 years, but still not great at it. But I still make fishing content because I don't go out there and try to act like I'm great at it. Right. When I go out there, I'm like, hey, we're going to go out here. Like, I made the video that came out Monday that you guys have already saw. That probably is one of the only times in my YouTube career where I have specifically targeted a specific fish. We went out chasing triple tails with Steven Chapman down in Tampa. Most of the time I'm winging it. It's like, I'm winging it. So,
well, it's like, I wasn't a very good fisherman either. Still not. I mean, I can kind of hold my own, but when I got back from the Army, I had been dreaming about catching these type of fish for years because I was stuck in the Army away from any ability to do this. And so when I got back, the whole idea of the channel was just to do stuff and document it and learn as I went, right? And I just happened to pick fishing because that's what I was doing at that time. I didn't know how to catch a bull red.
Right.
So I documented my journey of catching one. I had no idea how to catch a tarpon from a kayak, and very few people had done that at that time, but I thought it was a cool idea. I went out there and tried, and I made videos trying to do that. And along the way, I caught king mackerel, and we caught tuna, and we did these things. I didn't know. I wasn't an expert at it. Never tried to be, but I was like, hey, follow me. Let's go along, and we're going to learn this together. And here's what I did wrong. Here's what I did right. Yeah. And that's the idea of the vlog. And vlogging had just kind of come out, and I was like, well, I saw guys doing it in New York City. I was like, why can't you do this in fishing? So let's do that. And I was not scared of failing, and like, then Brant came along, and we kind of figured it out a little more, and we, the idea of I'm not an expert. Same thing in real estate. Like, it's here's what I see, here's what I'm seeing, here's what I've done and tried and works or doesn't work. And I just talk about it in that perspective. Because anybody that says they've done it all correctly every time is wrong.
They're lying.
Especially fishing, when you fail more than you actually, do right. Brant's falling off the front of boats, and Ron's falling out of kayaks. I've fallen out of kayaks. I've gotten drenched coming back into the beach. I've lost all my gear before. Those are the funny things that we are all like that. Nobody's a real pro out here. Yeah, it's just nobody's a real expert. And anybody tells you they're like, they're an expert at something, always be very wary of that, because it's not like you think. If you knew the behind the scenes of some of those fishing shows that you think that are real, you would be very disappointed.
Yes, you would be. You 100. Well, and it's funny that you say that. One of the things I've always told my kids, if you have to spend time telling people how great you are,
right,
you're probably not.
Yeah. Well,
if you are, everybody else will say it.
There's a way of saying an argument of authority, right, is automatically means everything you hear from behind that is garbage. Like in real estate, if you argue with somebody, the first thing they'll do is put their license number there, and it's like anybody can pass the test.
Right.
It's way harder to go out there and accomplish. I want to know how many transactions you've done.
I don't need your real estate
Don't
number.
give me a license number. Don't give me a contractor number. What have you built, right? Like, what did you work on?
In the content creation world, it's the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not that big of a deal, but I'm not one of the type of people that you want to come be like, oh, I've got 80,000 subscribers. I don't care. I really don't. Can you make a good video? Like, are you somebody I can work with? Are you entertaining? Like, I don't care how many subscribers you have.
Yeah.
I will do a collaboration with you if you have 100 videos, or if you have 100 subscribers, or if you've got 1 million subscribers. I've worked with both. I don't care. I really don't. But it cracks me up that the amount of people that are like, and it goes both ways. It can be some of these guys. There's plenty of people out there who's got way more subscribers than we do that don't get the views that we get, not even close. And there's people out there who've got a third of the subscribers that I have that are crushing me in views. And so to me, it's like your personality, the type of person you are to work with. It cracks me up when people lead a conversation with, well, I have X amount of subscribers on YouTube, or I have this many followers on TikTok. And it's like, that's great. But like, I want to know about you as a creator, not necessarily how many, people, because I mean, there's all kinds of ways to get followers and subscribers. So it doesn't really mean a lot anymore.
Well, not to mention, back in the day, there was nobody to craft your genre around. Right. I mean, if you look at the history of music, you had the guys at the beginning, and then they influenced the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. And in YouTube, it was the same way. Like, we spent all those years creating like a template to kind of follow.
Yeah, you laid out a roadmap.
And then the new YouTubers jumped on top of that and already had the template.
Yep.
And then the younger YouTubers know all that template.
Yep.
So they didn't have to waste 2 or 3 years figuring out how to craft these videos.
Yep.
And like, I'm seeing, like when you sit at the table with other creatives, right? And they say, you know what, man, that video you made, that the scenery in the background was pretty awesome. It was very artistic. It was very cool, man. Yeah. And in some of the content creators where they've spent their way on the platform, like, they'll never have that. They hired an editor. Yeah. They dumped their content off to another guy. He creates the video. And it's not like, hey, man, you remember 1972, that lick you hit on backstage before you went out? That lick was awesome. You created that. Yeah. They'll never have that moment,
They won't.
And like, or like a moment of me and Ron riding around in the complete destruction of Pensacola. Yeah. Or like pulling her out of the water when you were gone, like that's what I think is like the YouTuber, right? Out there creating a way for himself, documenting, making interesting content, being very entertaining, and then life opens up for the moment you hit the bell at the stock exchange, right? You broke through the noise, and you see some of the content, I look at it, I'm like, yeah, man, he's doing great. I'm not a fan of it. Yeah. Like,
and that's not to say we're not happy for them.
No, I'm like, go but
do you how you do you. That's everybody does it a different way. I mean, I've said that forever, that everybody has their own way of doing things, but there definitely is. And I talked to Daniel about that exact thing that you just said. And it always rolls downhill. So Jack and Brant had a much more difficult time like capturing their audience. And then when I came into play and I started, Sarah and I were serious about YouTube, we kind of knew, but we could look at what they had done and like kind of build off of that. And like I had all this advice coming to me from all these different angles that I didn't have to make the mistakes. But then we still made some mistakes. You're going to, no matter how much influence you have around you. Well, then when Sarah started her channel, I'm like, hey, we know your target audience. Like we know who your target audience is going to be. I'm like, we know the type of video you want to make. Let's go make those videos and let's make something out of this. And her channel has done extremely, extremely well for a brand new channel because of that, because of the fact that we were able to take knowledge, from our experiences, from experiences that have been passed down to us. And then when you have a personality like hers and you can mix it with the know-how, because at the end of the day, it's all about the personality. Let's not kid anybody. You could be the greatest filmmaker in the world and, you could have this, you could live in the most amazing place and catch the most amazing fish or whatever it is that you're doing. And if you don't have a personality that people can relate to and can like, you're going to have a hard time being successful. It doesn't matter what you're doing. So we were able to take, the knowledge that we had gained and then a personality like Sarah's who people just absolutely love her. And it, she's great on camera and it's like you put all that together and then the first video rolls out and it does. It's kind of irritating. When I look at mine and her first video from 5 years ago and then I look at her first video that we posted, a month ago or whatever.
The light's right.
Yeah.
The
the lighting's perfect. The audio's perfect. She knows exactly what to say. I'm shooting all these different angles for her, like walking, you see her open the door to the coffee shop and then the next scene, it's you're inside and she's walking in. It's like, man, like where was this when I started filming 5 years ago? Because we weren't doing this stuff. It's a fun process, but you hit the nail on the head. It is your creation, and it's amazing when you can look back and you can see those creations that you made, and people compliment you on things like using WD-40 on a headlight. I mean, that's a creative process. I mean, it is. Nobody else had done that at the time, and it was. You went. People don't think that's going out on a limb, but it really is, especially back then because we were in an entirely different world with content creation back then than what we are now. And that was a risk, doing something like that. That was a risk to step out and take. So that was awesome.
Well, I mean, like when you're looking at the data of a channel and the course you're on with it, and if you're planning to hit here, you're not going to make it to the goal you're trying to do.
Right.
Like squirrel hunting or this or that, that your subscriber growth and your views and the money you're going to be making. And at that time, YouTube had stopped ad revenue on a lot of those type of content.
Yep.
So you had a decision to make. If you want to do this and you want to be like these guys, you got to take a different route.
Right.
And so like I explored, me and Brant would call each other every day trying to figure out what's the next thing, like where to go. And then I started throwing mud at the wall. But you come up with some very interesting things in that process.
Yeah,
sure. And you never know who's watching or whatever, and that's why I like the entrepreneur videos. Yeah. Because when the economy, COVID happened, there was people struggling. Yeah. They lost their jobs. Yep. And like, I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I can make a video that helps a young man out there feed his young family or something. Could be, you might not agree with me, but it might help them. Right. And how to make money with a pickup truck. I think that just went through 1 million views on my channel. And think about 1 million people watched that. Yeah. I guarantee you there was tens of thousands of family members out there figuring out how to make an extra $50 a week or a day or a month.
For sure.
And the amount of flack I got when I posted those videos, and I'm like, this could feed somebody's family. Yep. And then when you get those heart-wrenching emails saying, hey, I'm doing this now, I have 3 trucks running, or the dump trailer videos. Yeah. Like the amount of emails that I got from people saying, I got my first dump trailer, I'm running X amount a week, I'm making an extra $1,000 a month, that's changed my course and life.
Well, and I was going to say, for some people, that could be life altering.
Right.
I mean, 100%.
And then like you say, like, I did the house flipping videos, how to buy houses for nothing and make profit. And you've got kids running around town that come up to you and be like, oh, I just bought my 6th house. Yeah, it's cool. Like that allowed me to go to college, or I did this while I was going to college, or like now with the real estate videos, the amount of young guys that are like, you know what, I decided not to go to college and I'm going to be a real estate agent, or I'm going to be, in this type of sales or yacht sales or things like that, that there is an alternative to what you've heard in school.
Yeah.
That if you have a good personality, you can do this.
100%.
You know, and then, you know, with the finance videos, like a lot of people don't understand that there is a moat out there to what you're allowed to say on in the finance world.
For sure.
And this drives me absolute nuts. You're only told by financial advisors what you should do financially. Not millionaires, not guys with money, financial advisors. And there's some rich financial advisors, okay?
Oh, yeah.
But they will tell you what the script that they have been told to tell you about finance. And what I realized in the journey is most of it's hogwash, okay?
A lot of it.
They are selling you a mutual fund, or they want you to put the money in their account so they can churn it and get their managerial fees. But Jack Mo made it through real estate, through building businesses, through investing, but not in the ways they tell you to do it. And I feel like that moat, because if you don't have a license as a financial advisor, you're not supposed to be able to advise anybody, right? And it's the same way in real estate. You're not allowed to advise anybody in real estate without a license. But the advice is awful. And for a young man with no money that's trying to figure out how to get money, you can't listen to a lot of these lures of finance. And I could go on. I mean, I've made a lot of videos on it, and you have to always disclaimer it as this is not financial advice. And that infuriates me because the financial advice you're getting from the licensees, they're selling you a product.
They're trying to sell you a product.
You know, and so like you see the behind the scenes on a lot of this stuff. And if you're making real estate videos, everybody in real estate's mad at you because they can't make the videos either.
Right.
You know, and you're competing with them, and they're having to pay for their marketing. And then they want to they want to create these charges against you that you're violating all these rules of marketing. And it's like, no, I'm just being creative. There's this free app and we're just using it in a creative way. Yeah. But, you know, like the finance world was something that exploded 2 or 3 years ago on YouTube, and it was very lucrative. And it was just people saying, you're in a bad spot. Let me show you how I got through it. And I hope it works for you too. And, you know, that's when all the people saying, "Oh, you're not allowed to say that." Not allowed to say that.
You're not allowed to say it.
And I thought that was just like not fair.
It's really not.
I didn't have a dad that taught me how to save money, make money, new ideas of making money, how to be an entrepreneur, how to set up I mean, like just the taxes. Well, I don't even want to start on YouTube taxes.
Yeah, we would have to do a whole other podcast for that.
Goodness gracious. Try explaining to an old CPA that you bought a boat and lit it on fire.
Yeah, that's a tough sell.
Or you bought a Yeti and you crushed it, or you
put it by your tailpipe and let it melt.
You bought $1,000 in beer just to make beer reviews or stuff like that. Like it's a whole different world.
You're going to get audited every year as a YouTuber. So keep your receipts.
Yeah, keep your receipts.
Keep your receipts.
And the agent that is going to show up is not going to understand what you do, and they don't understand it's the same as television. Yeah. These are all movie props.
I think they're getting it more and more now because there's so many people doing it. But it's
a movie prop. You're creating a scene, a backdrop. You got to have an office. You got to do. You're a movie creator. Yeah. You know, like Casey Neistat always said he makes movies. I like to say I make movies, and then people are like, "Oh, that's not a movie." I'm like, "Yeah, it is a movie.
Sure, it is. Absolutely.
It's the beginning, middle, and end. It's just a short version.
Just a short
version. I mean, we could go on for hours for.
We do have to wrap it up because we're already way over time, but that's okay. Won't be the. I mean, I was expecting nothing less. I mean, we sat down with Yak Motley. There's no way we were staying under an hour today. I was fully aware that was going to be the case, but I do appreciate you coming in. We'll have to sit down again, and because we could probably do 4 of these a week just with Jack and I sitting down and talking all this crazy stuff that we call our life. So guys, Jack, thank you so much for sitting in. Greatly appreciate it. Guys, appreciate you guys being here. Can't wait to see you on the next one. Y'all take care, and we'll see you soon.